This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
Joel's lost it. This is not a Star Wars show.
That was the PlayStation noise.
You don't think I'm just going to throw that at the beginning anyways?
No, you already did that for the other one, the PS1.
No, it's more like...
No, I'm talking about the original PlayStation, like the...
So a lightsaber comes through the screen.
It's the orange and the white. Hi, I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
I'm Jacob.
Welcome to Baconsale.
Should we just start over? What else did you have in there?
That's all I had.
One more time. That's actually pretty good. Sega.
Man, you are the Jacob today.
And that's actually kind of true. But we'll get into that in here in a second. First of all, I want to talk about last show, which was our crying show.
Yeah.
It was one where
long ago.
I actually had a hard time listening to it because I got emotional while listening to myself get emotional about talking about getting emotional.
That's like Inception. I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, but actually, apparently, it hit
Are
a
you
lot
crying right now?
Yeah, I'm weeping openly. No, we talked about the movies that made us cry, and it really hit home. We had Shane Hyatt saying, "Dang it, guys, you made me cry at work."
Yeah,
and then Danelle, excuse me, she said, all the feels, great episode, very cathartic. I was kind of mad you made me cry so much, but I needed a good cry. Smiley face, winky face, and cry face.
See, people
Baconsale, here to make you cry.
Yeah, people do need a good cry every once in a while.
The most surprising thing to me, though, was the one that people that brought up the most was the Sixth Sense.
Yeah, I told you.
And I think it's because, one, it caught people off guard because they're like, Sixth Sense, and then two, you recited the scene.
Yes.
And I think that got people.
She was there. She said you dance like an angel. And then it became Jake dancing like an angel.
Her proud.
You just ruined it.
No, but it was a fun show. You know, maybe we do another crying show one of these days, but
I don't know if you can handle it.
I have a hard time. I was exhausted.
Didn't I have an idea about that? Was it songs?
It was categories, and songs talked about that.
Songs,
but
yeah.
I left that show exhausted. And so I don't know if we can do that again for a while. I got to replenish.
At least till next week.
Okay.
We should also mention changes are soon coming to our Patreon structure.
Oh, definitely.
So we have a bacon bit that will come up and explain them all. But just so you know, that's coming, and we're going to make some fun stuff happen in this season.
So if you are waiting for the right reason to join Patreon and support Baconsale, the reasons are coming. Good ones.
Or get the reasons now and be grandfathered into the slot you already have.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Okay.
That's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Jim?
There we go.
There it is.
Wait. No, you ask me.
Oh.
I forgot how this works.
What are we talking about today, Joel?
Guys, today we're talking about something really special.
Just today.
I'm really excited about it. We're talking about PlayStation.
I'm dying.
I'm Joel. I interrupt you, and I have puns.
It's spot on. It's like being looking in a mirror.
Yeah.
No, we had a discussion where we wanted to talk about modern gaming because Kent and Jacob both really enjoy playing modern video games.
Yes.
And they keep wanting to have a show about it. But the problem is my gaming was mostly in the past.
Did it stop somewhere near Sega Genesis?
It stopped my mission.
Who hurt you?
So PlayStation 1 came out. I was playing Sega and Nintendo all the time. Like I loved them. PlayStation came out. I was playing that all the time. I went on a mission. I came back home and then I didn't have a console because I was down at college and I kind of just lost the gaming thing.
It's like you got an interest in girls or something?
Yes, apparently.
It's weird how there's video games and there's women. And you have to choose one or the other.
Take your choice.
And Jake is kind of living the dream life right now because...
No, my wife actually tells a really funny story. When we got married and I would play Age of Empires, Age of Mythology. Like, I don't want to play it quite a bit.
I don't even know how you're married.
And she would be like... And I would like, do you mind if I play? And she'd be like, yeah, it's okay. And then 15 minutes later, she'd be like, I'm bored. Can we do something together? I'm like, why don't I teach you how to play? No. And like a month later, she's like, show me how to play. And ever since then, she's like, okay, I'm in. And so now she's into games.
Wow.
And so this is all her. It was just really cool of her. And so now we have to find the games she likes. There's certain ones she likes, and there's lots that she does not.
So when I was a teenager, I saw my older brother got married. He's quite a bit older than me. He got married, and his wife would play Resident Evil with him. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. When I grow up and I get married, I hope my wife plays video games with me. And now I'm divorced, and I'm playing video games alone.
Did your ex play with you? Did she enjoy video games alone?
We played a few games, like kind of like tower games or Worms or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I would like just someone I can enjoy games like that, or Diablo 3, for example. But we're getting into the weeds.
This isn't Tinder, Kent. Stop throwing your profile out there.
Save it for your profile, man.
No, and my wife,
it's there.
My wife actually, she's not a big fan of video games in general, but there's a couple that she will really get into. Like she's I'll say it on the air. She's really good at Dr. Mario.
Okay.
I don't like playing that with her.
Did you see my tweet
Is
today?
she good at Tetris?
Yeah, I did. She's those kind of games she loves, and then she also loves StarCraft. We'll play StarCraft all the time.
What?
Together,
Okay, so StarCraft actually ties into the story. What Kent was saying is I was out on my mission and I saw there was this young couple and they had 2 computers in their living room and they were playing StarCraft together.
Having their own little LAN party?
And I thought,
Yeah,
yes,
that's what we
yes.
do.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, such a thing is possible. And
That's
I was
love.
just like,
That's love right
this
there.
is incredible.
Well, and
like, that was the most thrilling thing I
like
could
it.
imagine from marriage after just a couple other things.
family friendly.
Making families friendly.
No, but that's just it too. Is like I have to admit, there's a part of me because my wife and I we always play co-op whenever we play StarCraft.
I mean,
And-
that's the family
Hey, they
co-op
played
together
StarCraft
stays
together, so yeah.
Yeah.
But I tell you, one of the things I love doing as the man is that I love when my wife's in danger and I get to run in with all my Marines and just take down the forces and be like, I have protected her.
It's toxic.
Yeah, I'm a little toxic. Don't you know that it's toxic?
So many sound effects.
But the point is that I got out of gaming and then I still love video games. Like I'll get the
Right.
bug every now and then where I've
It's
borrowed.
Kent and I that are sick, actually.
I borrowed, yeah, you guys are both
Yeah,
sick.
exactly.
I borrowed PlayStations from my brother, from Weber State, and from Mark Welling, actually.
You borrowed a PlayStation from Weber State?
Yeah, they were
From the lab at Weber?
yeah,
That's funny.
they were on break, and so I got the Xbox and the Wii
Holy
and
cow.
the PlayStation.
I know, because I couldn't send students over there.
But whenever like I got these, I'd get a bug where I'd want to play, and I'd play a game. I'd be up all hours of the night. I'd binge on the game, and then once I got it done, I'm like, okay, the bug is now it should have been scratched. I can stop playing for a while again.
That's my favorite thing is like you would do it for
Scratching
specific
itches?
games. Like, yes,
Yes.
that too. But you would do it for like the Arkham games, the Batman
Arkham
Arkham
games, Uncharted, Marvel.
and you'd be up till like 3 a.m. and you'd sleep on the couch. I'm like, hey, welcome to my life.
I do remember. You would come into work. You'd be like, I played Uncharted until 4 a.m.
No, it's the worst feeling in the world is when and you guys probably have had this too.
Right.
When you're in a game, you're like, okay, just one more level. Okay, I just got to pass this one guy.
Yeah.
Why are birds out singing outside? Oh crap, the sun's coming
It's
up.
so depressing
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
sun comes up.
Oh, it's so bad.
It really is.
Yes.
No, this happens all the time. In fact, literally last night, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it's almost midnight, and my wife's like, I am so tired. Can we go to bed? And I was like, you go ahead, right? Because I wanted to keep playing, right?
Famous last
And,
words.
and
Yeah,
so
that's
she
like,
stands
I'm
up
gonna rest
and
my
she
eyes for
goes,
5 minutes.
she goes, is this going to be one of those things where I'm going to fall asleep and I'm going to come out here and it's 3 a.m. and you're still playing? No, I'm totally going to sleep. And she comes out. It's only like an hour 15 later.
Yeah.
And she comes out and she's like, liar.
Yeah. But it happens. And we
Like
know
last
that
night.
some of you out there are not gamers. And so we didn't want to jump too deep into this because the thing is, if Kent and Jacob start, honestly, some of the discussions they've had this week, which I love video games,
Right.
and I dabble, my eyes were glazing over at some of the things you guys were saying.
Oh.
And so what we wanted to do is
I think that's just about us, Kent.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
true.
That's the
well, so what we wanted to
content.
do is we wanted to bring it back a bit. And so Kent and Jacob will actually be taking on the main role, and I will be taking on the role that Jacob usually takes on of the moderator / quizmaster.
Yes.
And we are going to go through the history of modern gaming. PlayStation
Just
edition.
PlayStation. Just PlayStation.
edition.
And what we'd like to do here is make this relevant to you. This is a lesson about, like you said, the history of the PlayStation from
but
inception.
fun history.
But yeah,
We're not going to do
fun-
Inception.
Fun history.
No, we really need to emphasize that because honestly, I am afraid to even use the word. We shouldn't even employ the word history here because that's going to glaze people over. We're going to go over at a high level surface.
What's a better word we can use?
Overview.
Extreme history with 4 X's and 2 Z's.
Huh?
History.
Yes.
Triple X PlayStation review.
No, wait, no.
What?
No.
No. But yes.
Yes.
We don't.
Yes.
We don't
Yeah,
talk.
yes.
We
Yes.
Don't, no, we don't talk
Right.
about. We don't talk about Vin Diesel on this show. You know
Please
that.
no.
That's what I was thinking of.
So join us, and here's the thing: we have covered the PlayStation 1 just last season. So if you need a bigger history of that console itself, go back and listen. We will be covering just a little bit about that one, but we're going from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 4, which we're at currently, and maybe the future.
Those of you who do not play PlayStation and have not turned off this episode yet, don't turn it off. Don't,
Seriously.
Wait,
As soon as
stop.
it history.
Stop. Nope. You don't want to end it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to partially, this is a totally different format. This is somewhat like the shows where we try to pitch a product or we're missionaries for a product or whatever like that. But we're going to go over it in a way that's going to be fun and
We call those
entertaining.
superfan
and
shows.
we want to persuade you to try gaming. Really. I want to. Kent, do you want that? Do you want to try
I mean, if you're the right girl and you like gaming and you
Not
like,
Tinder.
you like to
She's
watch,
ready to not
watch me play
Tinder.
Resident
You ready
Evil
to
2?
get down and play
Left.
StarCraft?
Left.
Kent?
Did you just swipe left on me?
I did 3 times.
That made me so sad.
In all seriousness, Kent would love a date that would play Diablo 3 with him. I bet.
I would love it.
Yeah. So,
but let's leave that out.
but
for now.
we want to sell this, and we're also going to talk about the games. So
Yes.
we're going to choose 5 games from each console
Yeah.
that we recommend, not ranked, just five games that are Kent and I's favorites.
Yes.
Can I ask you guys a question that might sabotage you a
Of
little
course.
bit?
No, actually, let's cut that.
This is Jacob
Okay.
doing this. But even if you do recommend these games, can people even find them anywhere?
Yes.
Of course. What
Where
do you
can
mean?
they find them?
It's called
this
eBay,
is the PS1,
Amazon.
PS3. Are they going to be able to get their hands on a
Here's the
PlayStation 1?
tpublic.com/baconsale.
That's merchandise.
Oh, no. Patreon.com/baconsale.
They don't have that either.
You can readily get any PS3 or PS4 game, still pretty cheap, or the consoles. You'd have to go back and pay a little bit more for the PS1 games or have an emulator.
Can you download them on
no.
like the PlayStation
You
Network?
can, most of them, and I'll actually let you know if they're available on your PS3 or your PS4.
Again, you're missing the really big one here, which is the streaming service from PlayStation. What's it called? I forget.
PlayStation Now.
PlayStation Now. So
Yes.
you can get a subscription for what, 15, 25 bucks, 20
Yeah, it's
bucks
about
a
10,
month?
15 bucks a month.
Anyway, you get a subscription and you can play, Joel, you can play PlayStation 3, 2, and 1 games. They have probably like 1,000 titles in there,
there you
as
go.
well as PlayStation 4.
That's what I wanted to make sure, is that we're not giving recommendations for stuff that people will never be able to play.
So we did talk about this before, but I do want to cover the origin of the PlayStation because that's just I just hit the button. There we go. The CD case popped open.
Yep.
But here's the thing. So this was the first ever CD console. Remember, we had cartridges with like the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis at the time. Yeah, everyone was used to that. The PlayStation started as an add-on for the Super Nintendo. In fact, they were going to do a full partnership with Nintendo. And there was never going to be a Sony PlayStation.
Right.
But Nintendo, they're a little selfish as far as financing goes. Like, they don't want anyone else to make money but them. And because they were using Sony discs, they were like...
So they're
we're-
Disney of the video games.
Kind of.
Yeah,
yes.
that's about right, yeah.
They're like, we'd have to pay them for every disc. We'd have to pay them for all of the software. We can't do that. And there's this guy, they call him the father of the PlayStation, Ken Kutaragi, said, we've tried Sega. We helped him with Sega CD. We've tried Nintendo. We got to make our own console. It's time. And so he fought tooth and nail. Sony of Japan finally said, you know what? Let's try. Let's try and ruin this market for everyone else, and let's try to be the champions. And honestly, with the PlayStation 1, or just the PlayStation as they call it, they did. They beat...
It was so revolutionary.
everybody.
Like, I
Yes.
remember looking at the graphics. I mean, you look at them now, they're kind of awful. But back then, it was like, oh
because
my
it's
gosh.
all polygons instead of pixels.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
this looks so real.
Yes. And so at that time, so this was 1995 to 2000. That's the life cycle of the PlayStation 1. And that's where I'd like to move now.
Is Jacob
So-
going to talk? He's supposed to be me.
No. I was. Did I not mention this on the show? I just told you guys. So I'm gonna leave PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 to Kent mostly because I only came in on like the last year of the gen for PlayStation 2.
Oh, really?
I didn't play PlayStation 1 at all.
Oh, yeah, because you sat out the
What games were you
the
doing
show where we
before
talked
that?
about it.
What consoles were you working before that?
I had a pretty big gap, and then I did Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and then Super Nintendo was mostly the one, and then some PC gaming on and off, and then a gap.
Oh, he's a PC gamer.
Oh,
And
there we
then-
go. PC Master
There we go.
Race.
And then that's for a good reason, really. And then
we go.
PlayStation 2 picked up at the end of the cycle.
Okay.
Okay, so the PlayStation 1, this came out the same time as Nintendo 64 and the Sega Saturn. And remember, Nintendo 64 means Nintendo 64 bits. That's when people cared about the bits
Yeah.
in a game. Because
Well, it was like 8-bit was Nintendo, and then
Yes.
16-bit was Super Nintendo, and then 64.
Right. And guess what? The PlayStation, even with CDs, only had 32 bits.
But it looks so cool.
But it looks so cool because on CDs you can add voice and you can add FMV, which means movies. Sorry, I'm going to get into the woods on this one.
Is this the Nintendo show?
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to bring the everyman into this because I'm the
Yes.
Jacob.
Okay.
And they had memory cards, and so all these software developers were like, "Hey, I want to make a game on CD. Like, I can actually put a lot more game on a disc than I can a cartridge. Let's do this." So people just left Nintendo and Sega in droves, and this actually just killed Sega as a company.
So they intended to kill Nintendo, but they killed Sega.
Yes.
That's unfair.
Yes, and so I do want to give some sales numbers. So Sega Saturn in its
Because
whole,
people love sales numbers
Yes.
in their history lessons.
But I want to give a comparison too, because based on competition, this was PlayStation's first console. Sega Saturn sold 9 million their whole life cycle. The Nintendo 64, 33 million.
Wow.
Which is surprising because everyone had GoldenEye. Everyone I know had a Nintendo 64.
Well, everyone had a friend who had GoldenEye.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The PlayStation 1, 120 million units sold.
That's like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it's math. That's for sure. And so this thing took the world by storm. And I remember buying this, and I had a choice of the 3. And we talked about this on the PlayStation 1 show.
We did.
And I chose the PlayStation because of Jet Moto and Twisted Metal 2. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'll give these games a shot. And I never looked back.
I actually found a fun fact on the PlayStation 1. They continued to sell those games until 2006.
Yes.
Isn't that nuts?
And that's the thing. They stop releasing.
When did the PS2 come out?
2000.
So wow. So and PS3 came out when?
2006.
So they made PlayStation 1 games until the 3 came out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
That's how popular this was. And of
that's
course,
the thing.
PlayStation 2 was even more so, which we'll get to
'Cause
probably
that's the thing,
now.
you spend $200 or $300 on a console, you want to buy games for it for as long as you can.
True.
Because then you have to, like, you wait 5 years and you're like, I have to buy another $300-$400 console.
We'll get into that when we talk about the PlayStation 2.
So I do want to talk about what we're going to do with each of
PlayStation
these
2.
is talk about the 5 best games of each console.
Oh, yeah.
And you're just going to give our list from last show for the PS1, right?
So the summarized list that Joel and I gave was Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Sure.
It's a great game.
Whatever.
It was on our list, Joel. Final Fantasy VII,
Oh my gosh. Why did we let you pick somebody for this list?
Twisted Metal 2,
There we go.
Resident Evil 2,
Okay.
and Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
So those, to me, are the summation of the best that PlayStation 1 had to offer.
You sure that's our list, Kent, or did you just make up?
No, it's really our list. We had 20 on the list.
Yeah.
But those were the top 5 that we chose. And those are all amazing. You could find those on the PlayStation Network right now. I hope people are still caring because these are incredible experiences and games that just, when I was 17 years old and I bought this system, that did keep me up all hours of the night. Mm-hmm. And I still, like, they released most of these on the PlayStation Classic. And yeah, you can still play them now.
Okay.
So that is the PlayStation 1.
I like that you named the list the PSX, which was the code name, right? For PlayStation X? Yeah.
Yep.
Now, before we move on, gentlemen, as the Jacob,
What's going to happen now?
I have a quiz.
Okay.
Now, in order to do this quiz, I need buzzers from you, gentlemen. So, Kent, you want to give me your buzzer?
Yeah, Kent, let's hear your buzzer.
Boy.
Is that from God of War?
God of War.
Yeah. He calls the
Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then, Jacob, I need your buzzer.
You know, with all that crap you're giving me, I thought you'd be more clever than that.
No. All I need is boy.
Boy. Mine is from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I'm playing right now, and it's Malaka.
Okay.
Which is this generalized curse word in the show that's like darn it or stupid guy or what a malaka, which is like what an idiot.
Yeah, kids.
There's a
don't
lot
look
of
it
these.
up.
There's a lot of these.
Don't
different,
Google it.
Don't Google it.
That's going to tell everyone to Google it. Go to the Wikipedia page; it explains it.
All right, so you do have a quiz for us.
Appropriate.
You are such a Jake on this show.
I am a Jake, but I'm not doing a typical Jake style quiz because there's a little bit of a twist.
Well,
dear.
a
Joel
Joel
twist.
twist.
A Joel
Oh, I'm so
The
excited.
way I'm doing this
hashtag.
quiz, so I have 5 questions per console. If you answer without multiple choice, you get 2 points.
Okay.
He's gone crazy.
If you request multiple choice, or if you don't get it, we would do
multiple choice, I'm not going to know anything on the
Then you get
PlayStation 1.
Then you get 1 point. If you answer incorrectly before the question is finished,
Joel
meaning
gives you a
buzz
back rub.
you buzz in before the question is finished and then answer incorrectly, it's negative 1 point.
I wonder who that's aimed at.
It's aimed at Kent because Kent always jumps the gun on the questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, buzzer's ready.
Okay. Yes. I'm not going to even buzz in probably.
Question 1. What is the name of the main city in Resident Evil 2?
Boy.
Kent?
Did I do it before the... Oh, I get 2 points. It's Raccoon City.
It is Raccoon City.
I have not
The
played
options,
it.
by the way, I just want to read the options. A, Midnight City. B, Raccoon City. C, Liberty City. D, We Built This City.
Oh, it's one of my favorite songs.
All right.
So wait. So if you give us the multiple choice and we get it wrong, we don't lose points then. We
No,
only
if I
lose
finish the
points if
question,
it's
you don't.
early.
Yeah, it's only if you interrupt me. That
You know,
lose
on this
points.
one, because Jake doesn't know as much, I will let you finish the questions.
Yeah, there's really no competition here. I
Yeah,
have
I
no
know,
chance
right?
with that.
What is the name of the card game in Final Fantasy VIII? A, Shuffle or Boogie. B, Sebek. C, Blue versus Red. D, Triple Triad.
Malaka. C.
Blue versus Red?
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Boy.
Kent?
Triple Triad.
Triple Triad is correct.
I just guessed C.
Yeah.
That's literally all that happened.
Okay.
Okay, let's hear it.
C's usually right.
I know.
Question 3. What color is Spyro the Dragon's belly?
I kind of remember something about Spyro the Dragon. Malaka.
Jacob?
Blue.
No,
That's one of the colors.
that's not.
Boy.
Kent?
Yellow.
Do you want the
No,
options here?
Malaka. Red.
Just
There's
There's only so many.
Primary colors.
There's two colors. A, yellow and gold. B, crimson and clover. C, gray and purple. D, green and yellow.
Green and yellow.
Malacca.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
Jacob?
Green and yellow.
No.
It doesn't matter what's the answer.
It's yellow and gold.
Oh, okay.
Yellow and gold. So no points on that one.
All right. How many more? 3 more?
2 more. Question 4. Who runs the Twisted Metal tournament?
Multiple choice.
A, Echo. B, Samba. C, Calypso. D, Limbo.
Boy.
Yeah.
Kent?
Calypso.
Calypso.
I knew that
Correct.
one. I knew that one. Dang it.
And then number 5. What is the best-selling PS1 game of all time? A, Gran Turismo 2. B, Tomb Raider. C, Final Fantasy 7. D, Gran Turismo.
Boy.
Kent?
Gran Turismo.
Final answer?
1. Yes, the first one.
That is correct.
Yes.
So
Which is crazy because 2 is a much better game.
Kent with a runaway sweep on that.
It's almost like I
trophy.
spoke that whole time.
Yeah. You only got 1 point. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you got...
With
you
his
ended up
1
getting,
point?
No, he ended up getting 6 points on that one. So Jacob, you got some room to grow here.
Curse you, Kent. All right. So we're moving on to PlayStation 2. So as I said before, I picked this one up pretty late in the life cycle.
Right.
So Kent, you want to continue on this rampage?
So this rampage. The PlayStation 2 started in 2000 and went till 2006. And so there was a general 5 to 6 year time frame for each of these consoles, even though they kept making them. And this one actually stopped making this in 2013. This one is the highest selling console of all time.
Which is pretty crazy.
Crazy.
PlayStation 2 is?
PlayStation 2.
is.
All consoles, all time?
All consoles.
It sold 155 million units. The next closest one is actually Nintendo DS, which, does that count? I don't know.
It does.
And then Game Boy with 118 million. And then
Boy.
And then and then PlayStation. The original, with just over 100 million.
This is crazy because I would say, even though we're going to talk about a console that may be the redheaded stepchild, love you redheads, but this one is the forgotten one. I would say PlayStation 2.
Even though it's the highest selling console of all time, it's the forgotten one?
Yeah, because I don't talk to many people that even talk about their PlayStation 2 games.
It was just so ubiquitous
You
at
need
the
to get out
time.
more. Everyone out there, all the cool kids, all the Gen Zers are loving talking about PS2.
The problem is I stay inside and talk on my gaming network the whole time.
Hey, any guys got PS2s?
Do you guys Onimusha? You like Onimusha? Yeah.
Heck is Onimusha.
What's really crazy is this runaway with PlayStation, because, I mean, they've got pretty much all their consoles in the top 10. And the PlayStation 3 was largely considered a failure by some people.
There.
But
what the PlayStation 2 added was they went from CD to DVD. So this was getting to be big time, essentially. This was when the DVD movies were replacing any VHS, whether Blockbuster or
at other people's homes, not your home necessarily, Joel.
Yes,
where you still have
you're
the
still
VHS.
using VHS by mail, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Blockbuster by mail.
This one they also did backwards compatibility, so you could play your PlayStation 1 games as well, because that's a big deal.
Now, backwards compatibility is one of those terms I think we need to define a bit more.
Yes.
The dumb thing about a new console is that all the old games don't work anymore. But backwards compatibility means they can, meaning you put your PlayStation 1 game in the PS2 and it would still work. So
yes,
one console to rule them all.
And that was still happening for 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was 3 when they killed backwards compatibility, right?
They still kept it around for a little bit.
It was part of the life cycle in 3?
It was.
Is that what it was?
Yes. And I'll get there as well. But this was one of those...
Stop jumping the gun on 3, Jacob.
No, you want us to define what backwards compatibility means,
We did.
right? Is that enough?
Yeah, I mean, essentially just means you can play the old games on the new system.
Yeah, whether it's a CD or DVD, you could still keep playing them, which was great because the controllers were the same. They maybe added a few different features.
All right, I'm going to jump the gun a little bit more too, because Xbox is doing that now. They released that feature on their consoles last year.
And so one of the big reasons this was so successful, the DVD drive. People were using this as their DVD player.
Yeah, dual purpose.
Like you could
could
get a normal TV/DVD remote for the console, but you could just use your PlayStation controller, and it was just as easy. I mean, your parents probably couldn't work it, but that's fine. They didn't know how to work DVDs yet.
My dad invented the PlayStation.
Oh, he did, and you still didn't play it, really? You were like,
we didn't see eye to eye after he made that. He was supposed to deal with Nintendo. It didn't work out.
He was the guy that embarrassed Sony. I see.
Yeah.
So this was really successful for that reason, and it was going up against the Sega Dreamcast, which was Sega's final console ever. Also, the Nintendo GameCube, which a few people have.
I had a friend that had that in college.
Right? And then
That's where I played Resident Evil 4. Was on the, thanks, Ryan.
That's the first time that game was released. And actually, the GameCube sold 22 million units, the Dreamcast 9 million, and this was the unveiling of the Xbox.
Yeah, right around this time.
So it competed with the PlayStation 2, and so Halo was huge at this point, and the Xbox came out swinging, but sold 24 million consoles. So all those pale in comparison to the 155 million consoles, which is just crazy.
It's a lot. That's a lot of sold. That's like, worldwide, right?
Worldwide.
Yeah.
Can I talk about a cool fact I found?
Of course.
About PS2?
Yes, PS2. Joel.
Stop jumping the gun, boy.
I'm not just jumping the gun, Malacca.
Take it easy. Latin family friendly.
All right. So during the intro of the PlayStation 2, you remember the glowing towers that would come up?
Yeah.
So it turned out, maybe you guys knew this. I didn't realize. I just found this in my research. But the more glowing towers, or they added more glowing towers based on how many games you had played, and then the height of those towers were how many hours you had put into that game.
So it could be like, you're pathetic. Here are so many towers.
My
know,
entire
right?
screen is white.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of a weird thing? Anyway.
Yeah.
Also, the PlayStation 2 memory card was a whopping 8 megabytes.
Which would seem like a lot back then.
That's how you stored all your games.
I was
8
just to
megabytes.
clarify, for comparison's sake, 8 megabytes. What is a PlayStation now, if you get it?
So when you get a PlayStation now, they're generally 500 gigs
500
to 1
gigs
terabyte.
Which is
the
what in
base.
comparison to megabyte? I'm just trying to make this
1,000
palatable.
megabytes is 1 gigabyte.
It's about 9,037 times 8 megabytes.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty much. And so, but here's the difference between those consoles.
Don't
and
check
these.
that math.
You use physical media, so the CDs or DVDs, and that's how you played the games.
Right.
And you needed the disc to play, which you still do essentially.
So lame.
But now, if you have physical media, you need to copy it, or if you buy it digitally, it is all save space. So it's like a computer RAM or ROM. Someone will correct me.
Wow.
But it is on the
saying
hard
over
drive.
I don't know. He's
So
throwing out
basically-
RAM or ROM when he's talking about storage.
CD-ROMs.
So no, but like games are now saved on the hard drive, which is why there's 500 gigs or a terabyte, because they take up like 50 gigs for each
But
game.
the dumb
They're
thing,
gigantic.
and this may be jumping the gun a bit, but the dumb thing to
Joel,
me
knock it off.
is that nowadays, because I actually do own a PS4 now, but nowadays you put the game in, it loads the game on your machine.
Yes.
And yet you can't play without the disc.
It's a
It's so
hybrid.
weird.
It's a hybrid load. Actually, they started doing that PlayStation 2 or maybe 3 at the
Yeah,
latest.
I just don't like it. I'm like, if you're downloading this entire thing on my computer or on my PlayStation, it takes forever to do.
No, you actually
Let me
want
play
this
it.
because it dramatically reduces load times.
You dramatically reduce load.
I do. I know.
So people were crazy about this console. In fact, one guy named Dan Holmes, he changed his...
No!
I have this written down.
He legally
This is one of the
changed his
quiz
name.
questions.
This is one of the quiz questions. It's not anymore.
Do you have a backup?
No.
No, don't finish. Don't finish it, Kent.
No, it's
Okay.
fine. Go for it.
I'll buzz in right
you
away.
You guys know, so that's the point.
He changed his name to Mr. PlayStation 2.
He did.
Mr. PlayStation 2. That's pathetic. So the 5 best games on this console:
Way to go, Dan.
Devil May Cry. And I don't know if I want to really get into these, but it's just an action game where
You
you're
can give a little bit of synopsis.
you're a half vampire slaying monsters in this game.
Your blade.
Yes, with your blade. Silent Hill 2. I chose this one because it's in the Silent Hill universe and it's terrifying. This is one of the scariest, creepiest games you could ever
This is
play.
when you're walking around in the fog, and then these nurses show up, and
Yes.
yeah.
And the story on
Scary
this one
faces.
is just
It's a nightmare for
It's
Ken.
damaging. Also, Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, which is a fantastic action game.
Never played it.
You really should.
That's the one that I bought. So when
I haven't-
bought
I haven't played
Late
any of these
Cycle,
so
we
far.
picked that one
Wow.
up. It was a co-op game, and again,
I've dabbled in Silent Hill, but I've never actually played it.
you've done
I
a
think
lot.
you
You've
should
done a
play
lot
too.
of dabbling.
Yeah.
The fourth one is Metal Gear Solid 3: Snake Eater.
Didn't play it.
This one goes back to the 60s, and it's awesome. And Final Fantasy X. Sorry, I have to go there. I do. And it's an amazing game.
So much judgment.
I only contributed Lord of the Rings: Two Towers to that one.
Yes.
and Devil May Cry. I played that one a little bit too at the end.
So, with the exception of one question, what's the quiz for
Get
the
your brothers-
PlayStation
Get your
2?
brothers ready, gentlemen.
All right,
All
Malacca.
right, PlayStation 2 quiz. In what year did Sony discontinue the PS2?
Boy,
Kent?
I think I said this. 2013.
Correct.
Yes.
Nah, I should have guessed.
You should have guessed. This is the one. I just want to read this because I like the answers that I did here. In 2002, Dan Holmes legally changed his name to what? A, Mr. PlayStation 2. B, Sony Holmes. D, Solid Snake. Or D, King Dan Hearts.
That's pretty good.
That'll be
King
good.
Dan Art.
Yeah, but that
okay.
doesn't count because you stole it from underneath me.
I'm very sorry.
Number 3, which of these is not a character from Tekken 5?
Yeah.
A, Brian Fury. B, Martial Law. C, Eddie Valiant. D, Paul Phoenix.
Boy,
Kent?
Eddie Valiant.
What's he from?
Eddie Gordo is his name.
What's Eddie Valiant from?
I don't know.
It's Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Did you play Tekken 5?
No, I played Tekken 3,
Jacob,
though.
that was an easy one you could have buzzed in on and guessed.
I was about to. I was trying to decide. I couldn't remember all those stupid names, so I couldn't remember which one to buzz in and say.
Number 4, how many buttons are on a PS2 controller? A, 10, B, 13, C, 15, D, 20. So it's not
Malacca.
that one. Jacob.
15.
There you go.
I got a point.
Jacob gets a point.
What's up now?
Jacob get a point. And number
catching
5. And number 5. What is the best-selling PS2 game of all time?
Malacca.
Jacob.
Grand Theft Auto.
Which one?
Yeah.
Ooh.
2?
No, 2 wasn't even on the system. It was
3.
It's either 3 or San Andreas.
3.
Do you want the multiple choice?
Boy.
Jacob?
San Andreas.
San Andreas. Yeah. Correct. The answers,
I was close enough.
the options were actually Grand Theft Auto 1, Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, or Gran Turismo 3.
Wow.
Because they were all like super sellers.
That game was 3 was a phenomenon.
Did you get that without multiple choice? So yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So yeah, that puts Kent in the lead.
It doesn't put
Let's
him
hear
in the lead.
2,
It keeps him in the
4,
lead.
6. He's 12. Jacob's 1.
All right, when we get to 3 and 4, you might be in trouble.
Okay, we'll
Is
see.
there a PlayStation 5 quiz?
Yes. Totally.
All right, so Jake, tell us about the PlayStation 3.
All right, the PlayStation 3 created for Japan and North America. It was released in America in 2006 in November, right before Christmas, and then it was released in Europe and everywhere else in the following spring. So we got a little head start on there. The PS3 was pretty revolutionary at the time. It featured a Blu-ray player, which was in high competition with HD DVD.
Brand new Blu-ray.
Blu-ray at the time, if you were going to go out and buy a Blu-ray player at the time, you were going to spend $500, $600, $700 just for the player.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And PlayStation actually was losing money on all these consoles because of this. They put a Blu-ray player into the console, and you could have a Blu-ray player for $400 plus also a gaming console.
Exactly.
And so it became kind of some leverage there to help win this Blu-ray versus HD DVD war.
This was also PlayStation's first foray into the internet, essentially. Mm-hmm. They promised it with the PS2, but it didn't really happen, so they got built-in Wi-Fi. They finally got the PlayStation Network up and running, so you could order games digitally, or you could play with your friends online.
Which was cool. It was really cool.
And for a little bit, you could actually do backwards compatibility once again with the 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And then they cut the compatibility with 2 for some reason, just kept PlayStation 1 games. And this was also the...
Wait, what do you mean they cut compatibility? If you already have the console, how did it suddenly stop working?
So here's the thing. If you have
Software.
the original launch... if you have the original launch PlayStation, which was just this huge VCR
I had it.
thing.
It was gigantic.
There was 60 gigs of memory internally.
That's the one I had.
And it could play 1 and 2 games. And then they released slimmer versions as the years go by. They realized
slim and super slim.
Yes, they can. Yeah, Slim Shady. You can fit the technology into a smaller box, and so with that, they cut out some of the extra features, and so they got rid of the PlayStation 2 compatibility.
The original one was basically a computer. Like it was like a seriously. It had like multiple Ethernet ports, and it had like 4 or 6 USB.
Yeah.
You could have 7 people playing the same game.
You had to have friends for that, right?
Yeah,
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
So people may remember this. This was the one with the Spider-Man logo. The PlayStation where they went with the Spider-Man logo, with the Sam Raimi logo.
Oh yeah, the font and all that. Yeah.
And they just thought, because it's a Sony brand, so they were going for the tie-in or something.
See, I completely missed PS2. I was actually that was the like black hole when it was released while I was not even around. But then PS3 is the one where I actually got to borrow it from Weber State.
Yeah.
And then was like, oh, this is so fun.
Right.
The graphics are amazing.
Yes, and they were.
They were. I mean, this was HD. HD was finally here for games, and it was the first time I would get on and play.
You're playing an HD. You're playing a Blu-ray movie on a standard definition TV, though. Was the thing. Like people had these good machines, but then TVs they didn't have.
Oh
quite.
no, I was all about it. I went out and I got a projector so that I could do it, but I worked so hard. I found a 1080i, not 1080p. And I could explain the technical difference there. It's really boring.
You might as well. I've gone there.
No,
on this show.
No, I've learned from your mistakes.
Just say which is better, I or P.
P is better.
Okay.
So really, this is not even funny.
A little bit.
So I is a rotating pixel. Blah blah blah. P's static. Anyway, so I went out and I got the projector, and it was amazing because you would play a game like you pick up. I got the original Uncharted or whatever it was, and there would be a cutscene to whatever was going on, and then you get back to the gameplay, and you could barely tell the difference.
No, and that was good.
Like, wow, this is incredible.
It's interesting because the PlayStation 1 and 2 games, they're such like thick polygons that they're almost hard to play at this point. But the PS3 still looks great.
It
It does look good.
Well, it's not that far. It's not that long ago. It came out in
Right.
what, 2006, you said?
Yeah, 2006.
Yeah.
And so here's the problem. This is where Sony dropped the ball because they said we're the best around. We have killed Nintendo, the
Nothing's ever
gaming.
to keep them down.
Exactly. We've killed the gaming giant for years. We've killed them for years. And so we are going to have 3 wins in a row. And so they're like, okay, and we're going to do Blu-ray. And our system's going to be, well, we can't really afford it, but $600 at launch.
$600. That's
At
like
launch.
half an iPhone, guys.
Yeah.
It's true. Keep in mind, the Xbox 360 came out early out of the gate and had been out for a year, was $100 cheaper. And then Sony's like, hey, you guys, we have Blu-ray. And everyone's like, well, we don't know.
They came out cocky.
We don't know if Blu-ray is going to stick around.
Yeah, because that was the thing. Back then, it was HD, DVD, and Blu-ray were fighting each other like VHS or Beta or 8 tracks and cassettes. Like it was this kind of techno battle to see who's going to be the one that stays around.
I watched that thing
Yes.
so closely. I literally had bookmarks saved so that I could see, because I was really worried because I bought a PlayStation.
Right.
And so I was like, please, Blu-rays, do not lose this war, because then everything I've bought is going to go to garbage, right? Like it just becomes worthless.
All right next to your laser discs.
Yeah,
Exactly.
There was a big battle, but the one who won the war was the PlayStation 3.
It took a while though.
It took
They
a
were
long
losing
time.
money for
This
a while.
this was a bloody war, actually. They lost tons of money. But they slowly got more and more studios. And Disney finally sided, I think, with Blu-ray.
So, okay. And like you said, the PlayStation 3 was struggling at this point. The Xbox 360 pulled out ahead. And we are not mentioning the biggest competitor here, the Nintendo Wii.
Yes. Because Wii was one of those ones that kind of came like it was revolutionary because it's like, wait, you don't like need.
Yeah.
You move the characters on the screen?
The Wii was the sleeper hit, right? Like it didn't get all the press, and it was released 2006, right? The same year.
Everyone's mom or grandma bought them a Nintendo Wii just so they could play bowling.
No, and that was the funny thing about it is you show it to people, they're like, oh man, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
and easy to
revolutionary.
use.
Yes.
So let's get it for old folks' homes and things like that.
Yeah, so Nintendo was roaring back.
Listen, true story here. My in-laws reached out to me about a week ago and said, hey, so we saw this Marco Polo of you playing on this VR when we went into our doctor's office, and they had one of these virtual reality systems set up, and they said it's very healthy, a way to keep moving. What would it take? Can we get one of those? Can you show us how much would that cost? And so I am now the tutor for my 70-plus-year-old in-laws, getting them on VR,
Nice.
PlayStation VR.
It's kind of like if I'm ever feeling down, I'll just go to Google and I'll put old people playing Wii. And it makes my day so much better. The joy on their...
that you can look at at work.
Yeah, the joy in their stock photo faces is perfect.
Oh, man.
So here's the thing. Like the Wii was revolutionary. The PlayStation was still kind of like, hey, it's the same games, but sequels. And I will talk about the games because the games were incredible, but they had no idea what they were doing. So they had to do more price drops. They were trying to do so. They did some weird advertising. They were losing to everybody up until 2010, actually. And so they lowered the price to $300, and then they hired this actor to play their VP of everything. Mm-hmm. They named him Kevin Butler, and they came out with these commercials where they were just hilarious.
We need to talk about Kevin?
We need to talk about Kevin. Okay. He came out with these commercials, and they were really funny. People actually like cared again. He even was at E3 like as the president of Sony up there, and it's just this comedian who's acting this way. Mm-hmm. But it's just like people actually started caring about the PlayStation again. And after 4 years of losses, since its launch, they became profitable. They were losing
4 years.
They were losing $200 on every system sold up until this point.
It's not a good business model.
It's not.
It wasn't.
And then they realized kind of how to work the technology, how to make it a little bit better. So they eventually caught up. They didn't even beat, but they finally caught up with the Xbox 360. Each of these consoles sold 84 million, which is a lot.
It's like it's a dead tie. I mean, looking back, people think of it as like PS3 was in huge trouble, Xbox One, but in the end, it was actually a pretty close tie.
Well, the funny thing too is that back in the day, in the old gaming days, it was like you had one console. And then it divided into two. Right. But at this point, you had 3 big consoles vying for attention. So 84 million is really respectable.
Well, this is actually what's tricky because the Wii wasn't like a big console getting attention. It was the little console that everyone was buying.
Which is weird because Nintendo used to be the big player.
Right? Yeah, So it kind of switched up. And then the Wii got it was really nasty because you'd buy a console for cheap. It was like, buy the Wii. It's only $150.
Totally.
And you only have to get 14 add-ons to play.
No, actually, one of the biggest games sold of all time was Wii Sports. Not Wii Sports, it was Wii Play.
Yeah,
because it came with an extra controller. Mm-hmm. So everyone wanted that. In fact, the Wii sold 102 million consoles.
Wow.
Compared to 84.
Wait, what was the Xbox 360, did you say?
84 million.
And what was the
Which
PS3?
is huge because they only sold about 84 million.
Wait, 84 million and
Yep.
the Xbox 360 sold the same amount?
Yes.
And then we beat them both?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, look, people were spending a lot of money on video games at the time, but they all kind of finally came around. But this is seen as PlayStation's like dark age, which is crazy because I think it's a
not so dark.
fantastic console.
It is a fantastic console,
But
honestly,
it took them a long time.
It was ahead of its time, and there was mistakes. There was marketing mistakes. There was pricing mistakes, and they were losing money on the console. And for whatever reason, I don't know why people do this. They find out that a company is losing money on a product, and then they don't buy it.
Right.
Have you ever seen that? Like
Yeah.
that's a real trend. Once that word's out, they don't buy them, even though it's like this is a better deal.
You don't want to invest in a sinking ship, is what people
But you
think.
don't want to invest in a sinking ship.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's the movie pass thing.
Okay, so let's talk about the 5 best games on the PlayStation 3.
Okay.
This is where Jacob's going to get involved, right?
I've been involved. What do you mean? How
I'm
dare
being
you,
the Jacob
sir.
here.
Remember how I have no voice, but I'm like, and let me talk more and more and more.
Yeah.
Okay, so our 5 games. In no particular order, we've got Uncharted 2,
Uncharted 2,
amazing
so not Uncharted
game.
1.
not Uncharted 1, which is definitely a lesser game.
Uncharted 2 was so cinematic and just this incredible experience.
Is Uncharted 2 the one where you start on the train?
Yes.
Yes.
Uncharted 2 is freaking brilliant.
So Uncharted...
Freaking brilliant, he says.
If you want to know, I was going to say, just real quick, brief synopsis of Uncharted, the series. It's about a treasure hunter. It's this guy who's kind of got an Indiana Jones kind of feel to him, but he's like modern day. He looks like Nathan Fillion, and he goes and
he has the personality of Nathan Fillion.
He
as well.
does. He really does, yeah.
But then he runs around and does these treasures, but it's just he finds these treasures, but terrible stuff happens along the way. It's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
It is a ton
The
of
whole
fun to play.
series is fun to play.
I actually I don't have this quote, but I use it in class sometimes. But the intro to Uncharted 2, where and this is not spoilering. That should be a word.
History, spoiling.
So Nathan Drake, the main character, he's on a train that's dangling over a cliff, and you discover that slowly as he wakes up, and he's covered in blood, and then the train starts falling down the cliff. Anyway, J.J. Abrams had commented on this, saying it's one of the best fictional openings he's ever seen.
He's right.
Huh.
Right, and I'm like, I'm totally with him. It actually seems like something he would make. It's that sort of
He would
pacing.
copy,
They're ripping off
he would
Jurassic Park,
copy
The
and
Lost
try to
World, but
remake
okay.
at some point.
He probably would, yeah.
That's what J.J. Abrams does.
He probably would.
Yeah.
But okay, so we got Uncharted 2, and again, listener,
I played that one.
yeah, this is good. Infamous 2, which is actually, this would be lower on the list, but this is a really good game.
Infamous. I don't know this
Infamous
one.
2, was this an exclusive? Kent? Do you, I think
This
it is.
This is essentially.
What do you mean by exclusive, Jacob?
So
Everyman.
This would be its whole concept here, or whole conversation. Exclusive games. There are studios that make games for all the consoles, or both, or any
For
consoles.
example,
So
Super Mario, Legend of Zelda,
yeah,
They're only on the Nintendo.
only on the
They're
Nintendo.
exclusives.
Whereas if we have Xbox, Halo, Gears of War,
Only on the Xbox.
and on the PlayStation,
hold on, I don't have enough time to go through all these.
I know.
But yeah, Uncharted, Infamous 2, Last of Us, those are all on our list.
Can I just do a real quick tangent? Because
Yeah.
I think this is important. This, in the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 time, this is almost when the consoles merged. And you almost didn't need to buy both.
Right.
Because games were on both systems.
Yeah, you can get it. You can get
During 3.
Yes.
You can get all the games. Like I want to get Lego Harry Potter, for example.
Yeah.
I think that was on every single system.
Right.
And you can get it anywhere.
A lot of racing games as well, a lot of fighting games, RPGs, you name it.
RPGs, Kent?
Role-playing games.
Family friendly?
Role-playing. Yes. Yes. Well, sometimes.
Very.
What is role playing?
Some of my LARPing is a little
no.
bit...
LARPing?
Yeah.
No,
it's-
live action role playing. But
Yeah.
role playing games give a gist of what that means.
Role-playing game, it's typically fantasy, but you grow as a character, or your strength grows, and you become stronger, and there's generally a longer story and narrative base.
RPG used to be its own thing, but the fact is, modern games have
Everything's
just
an RPG.
Everything has become RPG.
You just become the character.
There's influences from
and follow a story.
Yes.
So-
and you level up your character and you choose their attributes and you do really nerdy stuff.
So there are reasons, and it's generally brand loyalty that takes people to the Microsoft territory or the Sony territory, because there's...
Microsoft being Xbox, Sony being PlayStation.
Yes, thank you very much.
Here's the everyman.
It is
Jacob.
there's brand loyalty, like liking the controller, liking the system, but there's also the exclusive companies that release these games. And so
Yeah.
myself, I'm a Sony guy. So I like
That's
the
why we're doing an
Uncharted
entire show
series.
about PlayStation.
Exactly.
Well, and I'm with Kent on this, and I'm a Sony guy, and it's not because of any express loyalties per se. It's that Xbox, the only exclusives they have are shooters, and there's only a couple of them.
Shooters, meaning first-person view,
shooter games,
and you're shooting people.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. Like Kent said, Halo, Gears of War,
yeah.
and I don't care so much. Those are really lower on my tier. Me, like Kent, I really like a story-driven game.
Me too. That's actually my preference is a story.
There has to be.
It's like you're playing a movie, like you're in a movie.
Yes, it becomes. It's like it's the only thing that's better than a movie in the story for me.
A good story, yeah,
a good one, of course.
There's out there.
And actually, just another tangent real quick.
Which is what PlayStation does.
Which is funny because we're only on the number 3 game of the
My
system.
recommendation for people to start playing games is if you enjoy reading books, and I hope there's still some of you out there, play a video game. Honestly, try it out if you haven't before, because it is... You are living the book. You are living a longer story, investing your time.
When you say longer, give an average of
you
how
become
long
the character.
How long, if you're playing one of these games, how long investment are you looking at?
I'm in.
Okay, Jake's a different kind of gamer.
And keep in mind, you may turn some people off with this.
For example, there's a game on our top 5 list here that is called Oblivion. It's Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And this game is this is not one of mine because I don't have this kind of time, but it's an 100-hour game.
Whoa.
At simple, basic.
Honestly, I'd say that's a minimum.
100 hours?
But don't let that scare you, listener.
100 hours.
Seriously. That's why I won't even try it.
I probably have 200 hours on that game.
My gosh.
Once again, Jake has the perfect life and the perfect wife. So most of these games, for example, and I'll get through the rest of these quick, The Last of Us, which is an amazing game, and Arkham City, along with Uncharted and Infamous 2, these are 20-hour games, generally tops, unless you go for everything in the game and every side quest.
Yeah,
20-hour experiences.
20 to 30.
No, I want to break this down too,
Yes.
because that's going to turn a lot of people off. So I don't have that kind of time.
Right.
But the truth is, you sit down, and if you're going to watch a movie, it's about 2 hours. You play 2 hours of this game a night, and then you turn it off, and you pick it up.
You binge watch a drama?
Yeah, if you're watching a whole series on Netflix, you're probably spending like 3 hours maybe.
And you got to think over it over a period of time, even months, several months.
This is months. Like I borrowed a game from my brother-in-law, Horizon. I borrowed that from my brother-in-law. I didn't give him back to him for half a year, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just playing it when I could.
Those big open world games,
couple hours
you probably got 50 hours into that thing, but it took 6 months.
I don't know if I got that much into it.
No?
At some point, I'm like, I got to beeline to the end.
And you know that feeling when you get to the end of a TV series and you go, I dedicated a lot of time. I really fell in love with these characters. I hate to see it go. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel when I finish a game.
Yeah.
Like I get to close the book and say, wow, okay, what's next?
I really like your book analogy because, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but modern games, especially like when you get to PS4 and others, they have story modes.
Yes.
So that you don't even have to jump into the action. You don't have to fight. You can actually just follow. In fact, I think God of War has that, doesn't it?
Yes.
So you can just go through and you can just watch this brilliant, cinematic, moving story.
Yeah.
And it's cool as an option. You don't have to get in there and fight.
And so there's a big difference between network gaming, which we're going to get into in the next console, which is part of this generation with the PlayStation 3, and story. Most people who play games play network gaming. This is your Call of Duty fans. Mm-hmm. This is most first-person shooters.
Right. You're playing with other people around the world.
Around the world. They're generally 13-year-old kids with dirty mouths. Their mom doesn't know they're playing games.
Did you say 30 mouths?
30 mouths.
Dirty mouths.
They're demons with 30 mouths.
And they're drinking Mountain Dew and eating flaming hot Cheetos.
Red Vines.
I'm going to throw a couple other stereotypes out there.
That's Kent like every week.
That is the majority of game sales, to be honest with you.
Right now.
But myself and Jake, you're the same way because I'm I'm an introverted extrovert, but the introversion really comes into play when I play a video game because I just want to play a narrative.
Yeah. So Jacob, you going to give us number 3 game then?
Oh, I already went through it. So
I did them.
Uncharted 2, Infamous 2, The Last of Us, which is an incredible story.
It's like a zombie, not zombie, but apocalyptic game.
Arkham City.
I love Arkham City.
The whole Arkham
It's a Batman.
series.
It's a Batman game where you get to run around Gotham City.
Yeah.
And
it's like playing Batman the animated series.
You feel like you're Batman.
You are Batman. You like how we get along. You're Batman. And then Oblivion, which is at minimum, 100-hour game.
What the heck is Oblivion?
So I was just going to say, we probably have to give this
Fantasy
is
dragons.
Infamous.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know Infamous.
so okay.
A comic book. You're playing a comic book.
Yes, Infamous it's a superhero.
What kind of comic
a guy gets basically lightning powers, right?
Okay.
He's in a corrupt city. There's corrupt officials, and there's some things that happen in the city, and he uses his powers to overcome corruption. And you level up the character, and it's like you have a gun, but he's shooting lightning out of his hands.
Okay.
It's cool. The first one's good.
It's a superhero one though.
It is.
Okay.
It is. And
It's great, actually.
It's kind of like noir type of superhero feel. And the first one's good, and then the second one is excellent.
Okay.
And
I recommend it for you.
Okay.
Actually.
And then I like that
it's
idea.
open world, but it's small sandbox.
Okay.
So
That was too nerdy of terms, Jacob.
okay, Oblivion is part of this big. It's called Elder Scrolls series.
Stars Tom Cruise.
No. And so it's part of it's actually a long running PC game or PC franchise. But Oblivion is just like Ken said, it's a fantasy world, and they have
So like not dinosaurs, dragons and magic and stuff like that. Like when I think fantasy.
Skyrim is the sequel
where are you
basically
going?
to this.
Hold
But
on.
that's where dragons are. There's no dragons in Oblivion.
Too far, Jacob.
But it's the same world. So Oblivion is the earlier world. So what they did is they had like, I don't know, 4 different iterations on PC, and they converted the whole thing into the PlayStation.
What's it about?
This game is so
That's
big.
all I want to know, Jacob.
It's a fantasy world. Here's
That's all you said is it's a fantasy world. What do you do in this fantasy world?
There's so many. This is why it's hard to describe.
Living in a fantasy world.
There's so many narratives that there's no single way to describe the game.
You have a
basically-
sword and shield and you fight things.
You could.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
No,
You're
that's
welcome.
not even true. You
Thank
could be
you.
a mage. You could be a reptile.
You have a staff and you can shoot magic spells at people.
So it's Dungeons and Dragons, the game. Is that what you're saying?
It really is. This game.
That's your number one?
So
It's not number
game,
one.
This
It's
game
Jake's
has. No, it's totally a number one.
It's not number one.
And I remember the first time I played this, right? At first I was like, this game's kind of boring. Like I kept waiting for like the story to like take me a certain direction until I realized I just had complete freedom. And I went out and someone attacked me and I accidentally, I attacked them back and it ended up being like this farmer. And then I was wanted for murder. And then people were trying to arrest me.
Is
and
this
then
a game or is this real,
is the
Jacob?
game. This is Missouri. Yeah. It's just
the
too close,
Amish.
too close.
They have a vendetta.
Anyway, so this game, this franchise, I should say, it just reenacts real life in a fantasy way, which is what makes it kind of compelling and it brings people in. And that's all I'm going to say.
I had to say Infamous sounded more compelling.
You should play Infamous.
That sounds fun.
For you, the time you have, play Infamous.
Okay.
Now it's time for Jake to get some points.
Get your buzzers ready, gentlemen.
All right.
All right. PlayStation 3 quiz.
Okay.
Question number 1. What iconic Utah landmark is featured in the apocalyptic game The Last of Us?
Temple Square. The Salt Lake Temple.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Salt Lake Temple is correct.
So just to finish the question, in the end of The Last of Us, you have gone through this long journey to find survival from all these zombies and bad people out
I
there.
should ask him what animals are featured in this.
And you travel on I-15, the main freeway that goes through Utah, and then you literally look over the edge of the freeway and you see the Salt Lake Temple.
You see downtown Salt Lake.
Yes.
It's bizarre.
It is very bizarre.
It's very bizarre. By the way, the main character has an awesome name. Just want to point that out. It's Joel.
I call him Joey.
All right, the question 2. Who was a playable character with an alternate storyline in the game Batman Arkham City? A. Catwoman, B. The Joker, C. Harley Quinn, D. Tony Stark.
Boy. Catwoman.
That is correct.
Did you say Tony Stark?
I did.
He wishes he had a game.
The question 3. Jacob, get your buzzer ready. That helps. Do this.
All right.
There you go.
Thumb up, Jake.
What kind of invasion are you trying to fend off in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2? A. German, B. Russian, C. North Korean, D. British.
Malacca.
Jacob.
Russian.
That's correct.
It's a Red Dawn all over again.
Jacob gets 1. Now, question number 4. The PS3 was the first console to use Blu-ray disc technology. What was the first Warner Brothers movie released on Blu-ray? A. Twister, B. Underworld Evolution, C. The Fifth Element, D. 50 First Dates.
Boy.
Kent.
51st Dates.
Incorrect.
Malacca.
Jacob.
What was C?
The Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
Incorrect.
Oh.
What was it?
It's actually Twister.
Oh, wow.
Those are actually all in the first batch of Blu-ray discs ever released.
Yeah. I remember those.
Like
50
years
First
after the
Dates?
fact,
Why?
except for 51st Dates.
And Twister?
What?
Okay, so no correct answer on
All right.
that.
All right, buzzer
And
ready.
finally, question 5. What is the best-selling PS3 game of all time?
Malacca.
Jacob?
You already know it?
It's Grand Theft Auto.
Which one?
I don't know. 3.
Oh boy.
Jacob or Kent?
5. Grand Theft Auto 5.
Incorrect. You want multiple choice?
Is it 4?
Yeah.
It's 4.
A, Grand Theft Auto 5. B, Gran Turismo 5. C, The Last of Us. D, Grand Theft Auto 4.
Malacca.
Jacob?
D.
4. Grand Theft Auto 4 with 25 million is the correct answer. Jacob, a little bit of a comeback there.
Yeah. I had 10 points on the last one, right?
No, you did not.
Nice try.
So, Kent, you are currently at 16, I think.
That sounds right.
16, and Jacob.
16?
And Jacob.
You were just, did they multiply?
Nope.
Was there something
And-
happening when you were looking?
Hey, 16 bits.
There was not
It's okay.
16 before.
And Jacob, you were at 3.
Yay.
There hasn't even been enough questions that have 16
Don't worry
points.
about it.
There's 2 points if you get it without multiple choice, remember?
Don't make things up.
I explained the rules very clearly at the beginning.
So now it's time for the PlayStation 4,
The current gaming system.
which ran from 2013 to today, but presumably 2020.
Presumably. Yeah. And I think that's honestly a pretty safe bet.
Right.
Some people hope it's going to be the end of this year, but I doubt it.
I doubt it as well.
But if it's 2020, though, it'll be the end of 2020, which is longer than I want to wait.
Yeah. Well, which is fine. I think if they invest money into a console that they probably bought for $300, like let them live it
Yeah.
out. And honestly, games get better as the developers understand and take advantage of the hardware further into the console's age.
You know, the thing is people will talk about the new features on the PlayStation 4, and there are a couple things. There's a share function that you have now.
Yeah, share video.
You can.
Believe in love
and
love?
They
Thanks, Joel.
You're welcome.
yeah, and they
I just got to prove I'm still here occasionally.
Yeah.
they revamped the controller to what
Basically
I think,
has a light bar.
yeah,
and a touchpad.
There's a light bar which is related to the VR. It hadn't been
What's
out
a light
yet,
bar?
and it's just the bar of light in front of it.
But what does it do?
It's for the camera. It's so the camera can see you. It's in relation to VR. They knew they were going to launch it eventually, and
And maybe that's what sets it apart is
it drove
there's-
everyone nuts because there's a giant light beam going off, and it fills the room. It's so stinking bright.
Especially if you're playing games in the dark and you're just
No,
like...
they actually,
That's only
Joe, they
play.
actually
Yeah.
released an update to dim the brightness of the controller light.
because people complain so much.
Yeah.
But the thing that sets this apart from the Xbox One and Nintendo's many consoles that they've gone through since, because one thing to know is that Nintendo's kind of had a lot of failure with the Wii U and is now kind of climbing back with the Switch, but that's another show entirely. The PlayStation has VR, which is
Virtual reality.
virtual reality,
There you go. I answered for
which
you.
Nintendo tried to do with the Virtual Boy back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that could be a whole nother show. It's like the accessories and alternate consoles. But they are giving a cheaper, streamlined version, less tech heavy than like the Oculus Rift, the Vive as well, and many other like PC VR systems.
If you're okay, so popping up all over the place, they have VR places where you can
Yes.
test out VR. Do you know what system is generally used at those? Like, what's a pretty
They
common
generally
system?
use the Vive.
I was reading. What did you ask? What's mostly used?
I was gonna say all those little stores they pop up and like, hey, come play VR with us. What
That's
game?
the Vive. It's always the Vive. Vive
Yeah.
is they have the B2B side where they sell to businesses.
B2B?
Where
I hate that term.
Where
You know that.
HTC sells to businesses for just that sort of need, so that they can have.
It's a good system.
What are they called? I forget what they're even called now. Suddenly, where you
VR
go play
stations?
games. No, like at a
Arcade?
Thank you. Yeah, VR arcade.
You
Thank
couldn't think of the word arcade.
I could not. No.
It's the wrong show for you, sir.
Apparently. So no, at the VR arcade, that's what they have. They can actually network together and things like that. And the Vive is the high end.
Well, the truth is, you don't need to go to those places. Just come over to Ken's house. He'll let you play VR all the time.
Ladies. So here's the thing, and this is what I want to talk about is Sony really held themselves like responsible for how the PlayStation 3 failed. And they said, we will never do that again. You know, they only sold, in their eyes, under 100 million consoles, which is, pathetic, right? And so they said, we're going to do everything right. But what they did is they kind of waited for the Xbox to do what they were going to do.
PlayStation 4 is still selling, and it's almost 92 million sold right now.
Yeah.
And that has already beat, I mean, obviously PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and it's coming up very quickly on the Wii.
So for comparison, the Xbox One, which is the competing console, which is very similar to the PlayStation.
Current one right now.
Yes.
Xbox's naming system is so weird.
Xbox One after the Xbox 360.
Doesn't make
it's
any
confusing.
sense.
That one has sold 39 million consoles.
I love
That's
this.
it?
I love this comparison.
And the Switch is climbing. The Switch is the
Nintendo
highest
Switch.
selling right now, and it's 23 million consoles, but it's climbing quickly.
And the PlayStation 4 was what?
About 90 something.
92.
So it's blowing the other ones out of the water.
Yes.
Here's what happened, and here's what
It is
I love.
killing it.
As a total geek, and I'm going to get really geeky here, it's all about the E3, and this is the Electronics Entertainment Expo.
It's a convention.
Wait, all
for
about
nerds.
E3?
Yes,
Which
because
PlayStation is out of now?
which they are not doing this year, but about 4 years ago, Xbox said, "Hey everyone, we have a new system called the Xbox One, and guess what you can do? Stream any TV that you want." And they were so proud. They're like, "You want to watch sports? You can do that on the Xbox One. Hey Xbox, turn on sports, whatever sport it may be. Maybe American football, maybe British football,
Don't stop naming sports.
maybe some tetherball."
No, don't.
And they also said, and here's the new thing: Xbox is going to really revolutionize gaming because your system will no longer accept Blu-rays or any discs. It will only be digital. So if you need to buy a game, you have to buy it from the Xbox store. You can no longer go to GameStop or Target or Walmart and buy a disc. You have to have it digital.
And everyone really liked this.
Yeah.
And by that,
I think you're sarcastic. There.
and they also
Yeah.
said, and by the way, your system always needs to be connected to the internet or you cannot play your games. And surprisingly,
that seems like a jerk move.
it was a
was.
jerk move. And and they even took it further. And then people
What about
said,
people that don't have Wi-Fi?
someone said, "Sir," because there are a lot of people even here in America that don't have internet that can do this or
Yeah.
internet at all. "Sir, what about people that need to like people that are in the army that have Xboxes or people that don't have this?" And he's the guy, one of the leads of marketing said, "Well, there's always the Xbox 360 you can play."
the older system.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so they
bad.
ruined any publicity they could have got. And so here's what PlayStation did at E3. They actually got up there and they said, "Hey, you guys like discs? We're going to make sure you get discs. You want to let a friend borrow a game? This is how you do it. Hey, can I borrow that game? Sure, here you go." And you hand them the game because they were still selling Blu-rays
Yeah.
to play on the system. You can get them digitally if you want, but they said, "Oh, and by the way, our system's going to be $100 cheaper than the Xbox One."
Smooth move, PlayStation.
And so the Xbox people freaked out because they had so much bad press, and they changed everything. So they allowed discs.
They reworked everything.
They made sure you didn't have to be online all the time.
And they were like, they apologized. They're
wait. So they remodeled the Xbox One?
Yes, because
Yeah.
of the PlayStation 4.
So they hadn't released it yet at that point. It was
No,
just
this
announced.
was the announcement of both systems.
Okay.
And so PlayStation from this launch came out swinging. That's why they're currently at the highest selling console. Xbox has had some improvements since then.
I would say that's why they got a good leap. That's why they started well.
Right.
The reason they've been successful, I feel like, is all the
The
IPs,
exclusive games.
which it would intellectual
what'd you call 'em?
intellectual properties, which is it's a short form for it. It just means the exclusive games that you
games
can play
they
on
own.
PlayStation. Yeah, and Xbox has not had anything that competes with that.
They have their Halo and actually
Halo.
here's the call to arms. And I was going to do this at the end of the show. And if people enjoy this, I do
You're presuming
want
people are going to stick around for the end of the show.
Yes, I do want to get a Xbox expert and a Nintendo expert on separate shows to get a history of each of these companies because we're very biased here. But I think there's probably like a behind the scenes story for Xbox and what they've done.
Maybe.
Well, Xbox strategy seems to be, hey, let's make a bunch of games that no one cares about anymore and not do anything interesting
No, you
and
say that, but-
No,
and do
that's
things to really
Apple.
upset people.
No, but
That's Apple.
Oh, is that Apple?
Xbox has some incredible games that there are diehard Xbox fans. Granted, a lot less.
On the modern console?
On the modern console.
What exclusives do they have?
Forza, for example, it's like an amazing racing game. People still kind of like Halo, I think.
No.
People
play it on the old
People
consoles.
play Call of Duty probably more on the Xbox than they would.
That's probably true. They do play more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of have the bro gamers. Sorry. Once again, come on the show, speak for the system.
I think
'cause
that's
we
fair.
really
Yeah,
can't.
I think Xbox does pick up more of that
and so,
demographic.
So we're still in this system life, but I do want to talk about the 5 best games and just kind of get through this because
Please do.
we
Yes,
don't know
let's.
what's going to happen. And so, first of all, God of War. It's a reimagining of the series, which had a lot of games on the PS2 and PS3, but this is the revamped thing. That's where I get boy from. This game is artistically,
What's it
story-wise.
about?
You are the former God of War, trying to live a normal life.
Like Apollo?
Sort of. You had to kill Ares in a previous game.
Okay.
And so you took over, and you're just trying to hide in the woods with your son.
Oh, I called it Apollo. Good heavens.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. It's the wrong sort of mythology.
Yeah.
And
my bad. I'm the Jacob.
All of a sudden, these Nordic gods,
We've used that a whole lot.
they realize who you are, and they want to kill you, and you're just like, leave me and my son alone. And so you have to unleash, all
Hades.
manner. You have to
Yeah.
unleash Hades on them. And the game is fantastic. The story is heartbreaking in many, many ways.
Okay.
There's also, we talked about Uncharted 2, Uncharted 4, which I hate to use another Uncharted game, but this game is incredible. This finishes off the series
Right.
on such a high note.
It really does.
Yeah.
This one's more story based. It's about characters almost even
Yes.
more than the action.
Yeah.
And they know that by this point. The thing that's working the best is not even the gameplay, which is excellent. It's the characters that you've come to know and love.
and this
Which is
is-
funny because this is the one where I jumped ahead. I played 1, 2, and I played 4, and then I was like, "Oh crap! I think I skipped 3." I didn't realize.
This is from the same studio who they've been with Sony this whole time. They're called Naughty Dog. And on the original PlayStation, they created Crash Bandicoot.
which was a breakout hit.
Yes.
I think it really helped PlayStation 1 to
did.
even just survive and thrive.
Right.
Yeah.
And then for the PlayStation 2, they created Jack and Daxter, which is lesser known.
That
but
was it.
Great.
That's
the one.
his avatar on
That's
this
the
game.
avatar.
That's
great, great platformers, honestly. And then so they moved with the PlayStation 3 to Uncharted, and now we're doing The Last of Us. And so they are just evolving as a company, and honestly, have kept the PlayStation brand alive.
I don't know if we gave enough love to Last of Us because that's one of those games that was such a good story.
Yeah.
I didn't even play it. I watched someone else play it.
You watched a Let's Play?
I watched a Let's Play.
That's it?
In pieces, like over weeks.
Okay.
And I was so emotionally involved in this story that I was like, what's going
Once
to
again,
happen?
it's like it's like playing a book.
Yeah,
It is.
It is.
It is.
Last of Us was really, really moving.
That was actually one of those games where I usually wouldn't pick up such a mature title because it's bloody and there's a lot of cursing and it's a
They
brutal.
bleeped it on the Let's Play.
Brutal.
They did. Okay.
It's a brutal world.
Yeah.
But my goodness, I was so invested in those characters. And there are moments where where you have to do things in the game, and you're like, no, I don't want to.
I cried.
And later in the intro,
The intro was bad.
Dude, the intro got me.
It gets your heartstrings.
dude, I have seen
we're
that
getting a little
multiple
geeky
times.
here, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that's on the PS3 even.
So the games that we were just talking about, once again, are about 20 to 25 hour experiences.
Yeah.
The game Jake's going to talk about. How much time have you spent on it, Jake?
Wait. So we talked about which one so
We
far?
did
So
God of War,
Uncharted 4.
Uncharted
And you can
4.
also get The Last of Us on the new system as well in
Okay.
HD.
And the next game is Skyrim, which is the
Follow up to Oblivion, which you talked about.
This is the sequel to Oblivion. Although,
This one, Joel.
That's what
Sword,
the bug that falls in the
Shield,
toilet
Dragons.
calls it. It's the Skyrim.
Oh,
This is Shield, Swords, Dragons?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this one actually is easier to sum up because there's a theme, which is the dragons. And you have your character that has dragon blood, and you can do this dragon call thing. And then,
Wait, you have dragon blood, or it's like inside you? Like you're holding
you're like
it?
Angelina Jolie, and it's just around your neck.
That's what I'm wondering.
Dragon
I was
blood.
trying to figure out, like,
Yeah.
No. It's like an ancestor thing. And
okay.
anyway, yeah. So
Mother of Dragons kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so you so you follow a storyline, and it's pretty complex, but there is just a main storyline around dragons.
How many hours have you put into it, Jacob?
I probably I don't know, 150.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, Oblivion got more.
No, but how much last month?
I haven't played this in years. This was actually on the PlayStation 3, but it had a re-release, just like Last of Us was on PlayStation 3. They were remastered, put on PlayStation 4. So I actually got the most time on PlayStation 3.
So can I make it personal real quick?
Please.
I'm going to cry again, just like our last show. Not really, but when I became single, I dedicated myself to one game, and I put 101 hours into this
Ratchet
game.
and Crank.
What game was this?
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh.
I put
And
way too much into that too.
It's an imperfect
This
game.
is
It's
your number two?
unfinished. This is not actually on the list, but
Oh.
I just want to talk about I have been pathetic as well. And I dedicate that much time, and it
We all
tells
knew
you.
that.
Yes, exactly. It tells you how much time you put in the game after you beat it. And I went, oh my gosh, what have I done? I just spent over 100
But it's
hours on a
decompressed.
video
there
game.
is some
It's-
amazing
you're in the story.
gameplay there, though.
Yeah. So
No, that
is-
Metal Gear game there's amazing stuff going on there.
there really is.
But it is incomplete.
Well, okay, I want to put this in perspective too. Like once again, 150 hours. That's a lot.
that was
I'm not gonna deny
No, that
that.
was probably over.
But think of how long it
many
is
months?
to watch an entire series, a
or to
drama
watch
series.
The Office again and again and
Oh,
again.
so I watched multiple times.
Yes.
Like you're thinking of like an hour per episode, 150 episodes.
Yeah.
There's plenty of series out there that you're probably watching. that have
Imagine
150
binging
episodes.
like Grey's Anatomy, which is like on season 13
I can't imagine
at this
that.
point.
Hold on,
Yeah.
I'm gouging up my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what Grey's Anatomy came to mind, but it is.
I mean, Supernatural just did 300 episodes.
Yeah.
And so you think about that, it's 300 hours basically
Yeah.
of one show. So
That's a lot.
Just put in perspective here that like it sounds like a lot, but when you think about watching a TV show and being a part of that TV show, like imagine watching a TV show that you enjoy, like an action or a drama or something like that.
It's really not that crazy.
And they put you in that series.
Before we talk about our next two games, I do want to talk about horror games on these consoles, because if you watch any horror movie and maybe you don't get scared anymore because you're just watching other people make actions,
desensitized, and
that's kind of like me. Yeah. It's like you watch Hereditary and you feel a little bit darker, but you're like, maybe not scary at this point. When you play a scary game on any console, you are making the choice.
Yes.
You have to go into the dark.
Yep.
And it is the experience that you really need to experience.
Well, and especially when they have these new VR ones where
Yes.
they put the headset on and you're in the game in the PlayStation. Like,
so good.
We need to have a whole
terrifying.
section on that. That's what we need.
All right, so Jake, what are the next two games on this list?
All right, next two games are Horizon Zero Dawn,
which I played. I've actually conquered that one.
Which Joel has played that one.
Yeah,
I haven't,
At
actually.
my
Thanks, Colton.
encouragement. And
Tell us about it a little bit.
okay, so Horizon Zero Dawn is one of.
Oh, can I do this one?
Yeah.
I actually know this one.
Yeah.
So Horizon Zero Dawn, it's very difficult to explain. There's so much. It's so complicated. There's so complex. There's so
Dude,
many
if you had played Oblivion, believe me, you would have no idea where to start.
Horizon Zero Dawn is set in the far future, but there has been an apocalyptic war. And so it's like we're back to the Stone Age.
Oh, this is taking forever.
But we
so
still
bored.
have. No, I'm the Jacob.
Oh, okay.
But there's been this war, and so like we're back in the Stone Age, but we still have all these kind of tech from before,
Right.
And there are these robots that have these robot animals that are kind of roaming around and gone wild. So you're basically trying to make a living out there.
They actually do complete the story to a point that it actually is viable. It makes sense, even though it's nuts. At first, you're like, "Why are there robot animals? That makes no sense."
Yeah, why are there robot giraffes and why are there robot lions?
But by the end, you're like, "Okay, I see how they got there."
yeah.
So Horizon Zero Dawn is one of the most successful original IPs, intellectual properties for the PlayStation 4. In fact, I have some stats here. Hopefully, these aren't things that you're going to use in your quiz.
They probably will.
But the top 3 selling games for PlayStation 4 so far.
Save the top one.
Is that what question?
That's been the question. It's been the last question of every single section. No,
I'm
go
not
ahead.
saying
Go ahead and do it, Jacob. I don't think you're going to win anyway.
It's so true.
Go ahead and say it.
So Spider-Man is number 1, which is absolute nonsense, even though it's a fine game.
Also an exclusive. You can only get on PlayStation 4.
Is that true?
Yes.
I didn't realize that. So yeah, but it has Marvel and Spider-Man behind it. So this is a gigantic franchise, right? Uncharted 4. I mean, a 4th game in the series, and there's so much love for this. And then the next best-selling one, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Wow.
On the PlayStation.
An original game that came out of nowhere.
Yep.
And
it is just so good. It's
very
so good.
beautiful.
And it's a teen game, which I really like. So they put all the effort and work into these games that usually only the mature titles get. That's where all the love goes, really.
So it's a teen game, like it watches like Logan Paul and Jake Paul on YouTube.
Anyway, okay, so that's Horizon Zero Dawn. Highly recommend. And then lastly,
the number one.
This is the game that I'll tell a little story with this one. I was working with you guys, and I had to get my wisdom teeth taken out, and it was the weekend of the.
You got your wisdom teeth out that late.
The PlayStation 4 was being released.
Wisdom then.
Oh,
It took a while, and I actually planned so that I would.
I remember this.
The day after the PlayStation 4 was released, the next day I was getting my wisdom teeth taken out, and I had taken the week off of work.
Yep.
And so I bought a PlayStation 4 and had it set up, got my wisdom teeth out, came back, was drugged, and I played. I was on a couch. I didn't even go to bed, right? I just had drugs and Assassin's Creed Black Flag for like a week.
Kids, he's talking about medical drugs, like from a doctor, medicine.
Yes.
It was Percocet is what it was, and it was wonderful, but
not a sponsor.
We're not sponsored by Percocet.
Anyway, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. This is what, the 4th in the series?
Yeah.
And
explain Assassin's Creed in general.
Ken, I've been talking. Why don't you go?
Historical timelines where there are 2 different factions. There's the Templars, which want to destroy the world.
Wow.
And the
Get on him, Joel.
Bring
Get
it
on
back.
him.
Bring it back.
Get on
I'll
him.
boil it down.
and the assassins
I'll boil it down.
who kill people in secret.
I'll boil it down.
Yeah.
You go back in time to kill dudes.
Yeah.
That's Assassin's
Historical
Creed.
dudes.
Yeah,
But in
historical
this one,
dudes.
you're a pirate, and you get to ride the unfriendly seas, and it is incredible. The ship battles in this one are so much fun. Very unique. This game is incredible.
It was one of the most just thrilling games to play.
Right.
And Assassin's Creed gameplay is cool. You get on the land and you sneak and you stab and you do all these sorts of things. And
sneak and stab. It's like my favorite Shake Shack. Yeah.
It's basically it. But this one brought in this whole other element where you're a pirate and they have this whole mechanic for navigating and warfare with a ship and attacking and looting and taking over other people. Fantastic gameplay.
Yeah.
And I played it a lot during that week and really enjoyed myself.
About 125 hours?
No. Black Flag, Horizon Zero Dawn. No, they're below 100 for sure. They're probably 60-ish though.
All right, so ready for our PS4 quiz?
The final quiz, gentlemen. The final quiz. Get your buzzers ready. Sony has claimed that the PS4 is how many times more powerful than the PS2? A, 2 times. B, 16 times. D, 26 times. D, 43 times.
Boy, 43.
43. They have said that the PS4 is 43 times more powerful than the PS2. Number 2, which of these is not an official PS4 model? A, original. B, slim. C, super slim. D, pro.
Malacca.
Jacob.
Super slim.
Correct.
Boom.
Jacob
That's
gets
what I'm trying
point.
to get with this diet.
And number 3, what is the name of the 4th game in the Uncharted series?
Malacca.
Jacob.
Thief's End.
Oh, Jacob.
It's actually Thieves' End.
I said a Thief's End.
I don't know if he did or not. And then finally, gentlemen, this is going to be the final question because you already stole the best-selling games of all time, which was Marvel Spider-Man, which is weird to me.
Malacca, Spider-Man. Oh, dang.
This last question is actually worth 50 points. What is the name of the corporation that is a front for the Order of the Knights Templar in the Assassin's Creed series?
Oh, boy. Abstergo.
Jacob, you want to try to steal it?
No, that's what I thought it was.
You're so close.
Multiple choice.
A, Viridian Dynamics. B, Umbrella Corporation. C, Vandalay Industries.
Boy. D.
Or D, Abstergo Industries.
Oh, yeah. I got that one.
I can't. So, Kent,
How did you say it wrong?
Abstergo. I didn't say Abstergo Industries.
You didn't say Industries?
Yeah.
That's why you didn't get it?
Exactly. There's also Abstergo
I was like, no, that's
Foundation,
right.
and there's like other things, but yeah, Abstergo. So, Kent, I think you won this one.
Just barely.
Yeah, just barely.
This was by like 62?
I'm not going to do the math, but you won.
Okay,
so
I'll take it.
Yeah, there you go.
So do we want to look at like PlayStation 5? I know we've lost a lot of people.
Yeah, real briefly, let's go ahead because we're already way over time.
Here's the thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I think they're going to focus on games and developers because that's what's been keeping them alive. They're going to pay the company, I think it's Sucker Punch, who did Spider-Man. No, it's not.
No, that was actually
Infamous. Who
Zack
made
Snyder did Sucker Punch.
Spider-Man. They're going to get a lot more Marvel games because Spider-Man sold so well. They're going to pay Santa Monica Studio, who did God of War a lot. They're getting basically all their exclusive games.
Insomniac did
They'll
Spider-Man.
Keep them, that's it.
Has the PS5 been announced of when they're going to release it?
No.
Okay, so
but they started doing teases around the end of the year. Like they
PS5.
Yeah, the teasers started coming out.
No, not the bunny hop.
PS5. Also, the PlayStation VR picked up a lot of steam over the holidays. It's only sold about 3 million.
It's a lot of fun, by the way.
But the PlayStation 5 will probably come with a wireless headset, is my guess.
Is hope. Man,
It's
I hope.
And I think they're going to
because
come
Ken was
out.
playing a game tonight and he almost pulled the console off the Bacon Cave wall.
I think you're going to be able to get a bundled version of the PlayStation 5 with VR because they'll push it so heavily.
Man, I hope so.
Because there are games now like a Resident Evil or
Only
even
3
the new
million?
Ace Combat.
Did you look that up? I'm looking that up.
Which comes out, it comes with a VR version or just a normal version.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think games that come out, like big games, will have a VR and a normal version from now on. Because they'll push it so hard because it just makes them extra money.
Yeah,
They
it's true.
sell this for $200 extra.
Yeah.
Great.
And I do know that Sony's been very surprised by how many they sold. And
Right.
I read articles about that, but I hadn't gotten the exact number. 3
all
million.
those doctors' offices are telling the elderly to get it.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, the 3 million copies. But yeah, it has sold better than they expected, much better. And Xbox doesn't have anything like it.
Well,
Maybe
and-
in their next gen.
And you know what? I want to bring up too the VR technology. It's doing well. Like there's a lot more to it, but it is still kind of in its infancy,
Right.
In the sense of you're just kind of standing there, and sometimes you're stationary, but you can use the directional pad.
Yeah,
But
there's a game where you're Batman and you are Batman. Like you
It's-
put on the mask and everything, but it's like a 30-minute to an hour-long game.
Even the Resident Evil one, wasn't that a short game as well?
No, it's the full game.
It's the full game?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They do have some titles that are a little bit more well-rounded. Astrobot, for example, which I've been encouraging you to get. I mean, that's
the one that got me sick tonight.
Yeah, you got Joel a little bit sick, but that's a very well-rounded game, and it's been. It's more polished.
I also think we are going to go. I think Xbox was right. I think we're going to go digital only pretty soon. Because
but what about those people in the troops who can't have internet connections and all that?
Well, that may be a problem. Honestly.
I actually saw a quote from the CEO on the PlayStation 5. And they asked him if it was coming. He goes, "Yeah." He said, "Quote: It is necessary to have a next gen hardware."
Well, okay,
because
so
people are wanting just streaming.
Well, no, and I completely understand being able to just download it, but then being able to do it offline. I think it was Xbox saying you always have to be connected to the internet.
I don't think they'll require that unless you're playing like a first-person shooter and you need to play people from around the world.
Right.
If you want a story-based game, you're still okay without the internet.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I do think that's the way it's going to go because GameStop is going away pretty soon. But pretty soon, like Target at Walmart, they won't be selling games, I don't think, in the next 2 years.
2 years? No
Yeah.
way. They'll keep selling games.
Well, not if they're only digital. If they're only digital consoles.
Yeah, but then they'll still have the old consoles selling games.
Yeah.
They were still making PS2 games well into when they were making PS3 games.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
But-
so not that soon. A couple games we're expecting to have The Last of Us 2. That's probably going to be a launch
I saw
title.
the trailer for that.
There's a trailer? Oh, yeah. No, I didn't see that.
Last of
Yeah.
Us 2 will come out this year for the PlayStation 4.
For 4?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No, they're saving it for 5.
Nope.
I think it's coming out.
Yeah, for real.
It better be 5.
Street tacos? Street tacos.
All right, Street Tacos it is.
Okay.
Elder Scrolls 6.
When they say street tacos, they mean they're betting street tacos. For
Yes.
those of you who are listening to this as your first episode of Baconsale.
and we're sorry.
Elder Scrolls 6 will be on the PlayStation 5. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and then basically anything announced now that people are working on, it won't come on the PlayStation 4. The next versions of the Xbox and the PlayStation.
Do you think the PS5 will be backwards compatible, meaning
No.
that you can play PS4
Yes.
games on it?
No way.
Yes.
It will not be.
Street tacos?
Street
you guys?
Tacos for sure.
Well, if it's digital,
it will not be.
No, but they will make sure that you're able to play it in some way.
It is the 4 is not backwards compatible. They don't have to make things backwards compatible because people are buying them anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
In fact, Xbox was not backwards compatible until last year when they were like, "Hey, we're syncing. We're now backwards compatible," and everyone's like, "Okay."
It's just backwards compatibility that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. It does. It's really nasty to not make them because it's easy. It's just like
Yeah.
flipping a switch.
Honestly, it's like when they said, okay, you bought all those VHSs, now you have to buy the movie on DVD. Oh, you have the movie on DVD, you have to buy it on Blu-ray.
This is worse than that.
You have it on Blu-ray, now you have to buy it on streaming.
Because the machine will still play it. Your DVD player in this analogy, right, can't actually
I
play
cannot
the VHS.
find a VCR to play my VHS tapes that I'm getting from Blockbuster. Mail in.
Yeah. So we've already said our pitches, but I truly I know it's been a long road to get to this point, but just try it. I mean, these consoles are now about $200, and you may already have one in the home. Maybe take a couple hours and just try one of these games that we've mentioned. Give it a chance, because there are games, which we'll talk about in the future, that are maybe just a 2-hour experience and may make you cry. A game like Journey, for example.
And even
Just
then,
give it a shot.
Even then, just little bits at a time, you get a little bit of a story. It's so much fun to sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to do like half hour, or I'm going to do 2 hours, or I'm going to be playing till 4 a.m. Like, you kind of get sucked into them, but it's so fun to go and just play these stories and be a part of the story. That's one of the reasons I still enjoy. I'm not in it as much, but I do enjoy the modern story game, like Arkham Asylum and Uncharted.
Man, this has made me want to go play a game.
There you go.
That's
the point.
I'm 70 hours into Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
My gosh.
And it actually tells me every time I load. It's like this many hours, and I'm like, shut up.
That's like Netflix being like, are you still watching?
Yeah, I'm like, quit judging me. I've had this for a while.
Well, how about we just go play some games, gentlemen?
Okay.
So if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter, or you can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform every Saturday night at the Midvale Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
If you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, it's ShowtimeShowdown.com.
You can find me on Twitter, where I have been trying to tweet occasionally.
He's been funny.
At Jacob A. Rogers, but make sure that you're following Baconsale on Twitter at Baconsale, where Joel is mostly tweeting, and it's funnier. And we got Instagram at Baconsale, patreon.com/Baconsale. One more time, if you want to get grandfathered into the rewards and incentives that we have right now, you can do that still. And probably by next week, we'll be launching some new stuff, and really some cool perks are coming. I'm excited for these.
Right.
And what else do we have? At tpublic.com/Baconsale.
Get our merch.
Get our merchandise. There's some new stuff there too.
Yep.
That's all I got.
So until next time,
I am Joel, and I thank you for listening to Baconsale.
because I got emotional while listening to myself get emotional about talking about getting emotional.
That's like Inception. I don't know what's happening here.
I'm Joel. I interrupt you, and I have puns.
It's weird how there's video games and there's women. When I grow up and I get married, I hope my wife plays video games with me. And now I'm divorced.
I have protected her.
It's toxic.
Yeah, a little toxic. Don't you know that it's toxic?
So many sound effects.
Oh crap! The sun's coming
It's
up.
so depressing when the
Yeah.
sun comes up.
Oh, it's so bad.
It really is.
Extreme history with 4 X's and 2 Z's.
Huh?
History.
Yes.
Triple X PlayStation review.
No, wait, no.
What?
No.
No.
Do you want that? Do you want to try?
I mean, if you're the right girl. Latin's dead. Latin's dead, Joel. Did you just swipe left on me?
I did 3 times.
That made me so sad.
The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue.
The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue.
The lips,
That's kind
the
of
teeth,
fun.
the tip of the tongue.
But it gets all the you get
The
all
lips,
the
the
kind
teeth, the tip of the tongue.
All it needs is an
teeth,
M noise.
the tip
and
of the
you're
tongue.
good.
I love that.
That is good, actually.
Lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue.
Is it weird? It like feels good to say.
Hey, any guys got PS2s? Stop jumping the gun, boy.
I'm not just jumping the gun, Malaka. I
I
don't
can't
have
say
I don't-
history. I have to say history.
Yeah, it's got to be cool.
Yeah.
Not the way Joel did it, but cool.
History, yo.
At the
I
time.
can't Google that at work.
Kate Beckinsale changed everything.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Who doesn't want to see Kate Baconsale in Blu-ray?
in high definition.
Once again, Jake has the perfect life and the perfect wife. You have a sword and shield and you fight things.
You could.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
No,
You're
that's
welcome.
not even true.
Thank
you could be
you.
a mage. I attacked them back and ended up being like this farmer, and then I was wanted for murder, and then people were trying to arrest me.
Is
and
this
then
a game or is this
this
real,
is the
Jacob?
game.
This is Missouri.
Don't make things up.
It's the wrong show for you, sir.
Apparently,
I have been pathetic as well.
right? I just had drugs and Assassin's Creed Black Flag for like a week.
Kids, he's talking about medical drugs, like from a
Sure he
doctor,
was.
medicine.
Yes.
It was Percocet, is what it was, and it was wonderful. But
not a sponsor.
We're not sponsored by Percocet. PS5.
yeah, the teaser started coming out.
No, 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 not the bunny hop.
PS5.